That's right. They thought they were cool. Well, how cool are you today? Can y'all make up a rap song about this?
Hey, howdy, and welcome to the 6th episode of Get Ranked, Muscle Car Edition. Unfortunately, my co-host is absent, and so, at least for a little bit, and so we're kind of going to be running a little different today. All right, so the rules for today are I will present every choice, and you guys will have a chance for healthy debate using a group of criteria, which I will tell you, to help you decide where you think it should go on the list. After you guys discuss, you will choose where to put it. Tell me. At the end, I will give you an opportunity to realign if you have second thoughts. And only rule is don't break toss because I don't want to be ixnayed. But we already have our list up this week, so we will jump right in. All right, first up, the Chevy Camaro. Where do you guys feel about this guy?
It's a classic. It's S tier. I would say for the first 3 years, they dominated Trans Am Series. It has one of the rarest engines in it that exists. There's probably 3 or 4 only DZ302s in one piece anymore. Mm-hmm. You have the Yenko, you have Copos, you have multiple different versions of the car that were built by dealerships. And basically, it was a Yenko, was an SS that they ripped the 350 out and put a 427 in. But there's tons and tons of stuff. One of my good friends paid $26,000 for a clone.
For a clone?
For a clone, it had a 396 in it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I worked on the car. It looked like a brand new car from the factory, by the way, too. It was completely restored.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the classic muscle cars that are just iconic throughout I know we're going to like 72, but even to today, it's still generational, except they stopped production this year. So,
yeah. Well, I'm not a big fan of the new one. I mean, they look similar, but I didn't find it very pleasant to drive. Couldn't really see out of the thing.
Yeah, a lot of blind spots.
A lot of blind spots in the car. So, but I agree with you. When you pretty much Devil made me do it starting out with what I think is the number one car on this list. Just because it's either this for me or the Pontiac GTO. Because of the definition of American muscle car. Where did that start? Right? Where did that really come from? And, it came from that area. So Camaro's classic look, especially in the 60s and the 70s. I guess you could argue that the body style is the same on any of the GM, cars around this area. I mean, you could take a Camaro body and kind of put the front end of a Firebird on it or something like that from that area. It all kind of looks the same, but that's because the lines work. They're beautiful. So from a just a look standpoint, from a classic car standpoint, everybody wanted one. Even the 70s cars, 74, 75, 78, when I was in high school, those were in demand. And of course, the icon that you had with Smokey and the Bandit and all that stuff from there, the Pontiac Trans Am and that kind of look. But the Camaro, yeah, I would say this is definitely an S tier American muscle car. If I had money, it would be a serious consideration on something that I would want to get.
Gal, how do you feel about it?
I hate the Camaro, but that's in comparison to the others, and it's really not about the technical parts of it, because I'm not a technical gal for cars. I am going to be the
She's the
style.
color.
I look at the body, and I am the one sitting in shotgun.
I'm waiting for Dermy to put in chat, go back to the kitchen or something.
I wouldn't be surprised if
I need a sandwich.
but I could drive circles around Dermy no matter what, and probably would have to teach him how to drive sticks. So whatever.
He knows how to drive a stick.
Mhm.
Good for me.
He may not have been in the Navy, but he sure
but-
acts like he was. Oh, wait. Was my mic on? Oh, shoot. Dang it. Oh, man.
I do acknowledge. So I say that I hate the Camaro, but it's in comparison to my other favorites. So I lean towards a high BA, but that's because it's
Okay.
based on cosmetic choices.
Okay, and Ryan's opinion don't matter till his ass gets here. Okay, so we got two S's, right? So,
Yeah. Two S's
Yeah.
and a B tier. Yeah.
yeah. At the end, he can weigh in on all he missed. Oh, and I totally forgot to give the audience the criteria. You guys know it, but the audience doesn't. So we're judging on style, performance, different packages that came in the variety, because that's one thing you got to say is muscle cars, you had all the different packages. And then on the X Factor, the X Factor is whatever the panel wants to judge it on. If they want to judge it on the colors it came in, or how cool it looked on a Friday night trying to get girls, that's their choice. The X Factor is all you guys and your preference. So those are in case you guys were wondering. Okay, next up we have my favorite. Now I'm partial to the 1969 Chevy Chevelle Super Sport, but just because I like that the hood went a little further, I think they pulled it back a little bit in the 70, but that's my favorite. So how do you guys feel about this Chevelle?
Oh, there's Ryan.
Hey,
Oh.
sorry about the delay, guys. Busy
He
day.
decided to show us his presence.
Okay, we're only on the second one, so you didn't miss much. Chevy
Okay.
Chevelle.
The Chevelle. What was the first one? Real quick, it's an S.
Camaro. Missed,
Okay,
missed
that
on
belongs
the-
there. That's good. I'm gonna say for the Chevelle, I'm gonna go with probably B tier.
Whoa.
What is all that noise?
My dog's at the door. Hold on a second.
I thought somebody was breaking in. Where did you say you think the Chevelle should be?
I think the Chevelle's probably B tier. I like Chevelles, but I don't think they're not as well known as or as sought after as I'd say like the Camaro or like a Nova or something like that.
Okay. What about you, Talks? How do you feel about the Chevelle?
All right, so the Chevelle has a very special place in my heart. The person that Mrs. Flew dated before she dated me was a wrestler who owned a 70 Chevelle. So you don't have an F tier, but that's where this goes.
Cold.
There you
Cold.
go. So,
No love for my Chevelle.
yeah, that's it. That's it. Because if I were to find one, I would burn it. And it has nothing to do with the performance of the car. Phenomenal car. looks great, all that stuff. But Mrs. Flu dated a wrestler before me, and he owned one of those, so they can all go to hell.
So Toxic's X
That's the
factor
X
is
factor
if his
right
wife
there.
dated anyone.
That's
dated
right.
anyone with a car.
Yep, just that guy. Yeah, just F that guy and his
Okay.
fuck Chevelle. They're done. Now, I would go A tier on the Chevelle as a car itself.
right.
That's what I would do.
Green hair,
But
where
X
are you?
Factor, it's Z. It's red too with white stripes. Asshole. You know what I was driving at the time?
What?
Ford Escort, 4-door.
Well, you got
Ford-
her at the
Ford
end,
Escort.
so you win.
That's right. I win. I won. But yeah. So I would say A on this. That there was a lot of options for this car. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
The Chevelle was around for a long time, but you had a lot of options. There was a lot of power there, and handled for crap. But
Yeah, like
American
said,
muscle
they're
cars go really fast in a straight line.
both- Yeah, well, that's the important
Best
thing.
part.
That's the important part. That's the important part.
That is the important part.
Yeah, and stuff from there. So, but yeah, I would put this as an A.
Green, where do you feel?
I would probably put it as a C just based on my limited knowledge of it. And then just looking at the styles, I don't like it. And I would not be impressed. I wouldn't even be impressed over a Camaro.
So if I got one, you wouldn't marry me, damn it.
I didn't
six-
say it'd be an
60
F
levels.
tier or the void.
Wookie, where do you feel?
Chevelle is definitely a tier car.
Okay.
Big block fans enjoyed this car. Love this car. 65 Chevelle to me is the perfect icon muscle car outside of certain other cars. 69 was a huge icon for a lot of people, but it had to be a big block car. It wasn't the perfect
Yeah.
car with a small block or a big block in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got two A's.
Because they changed the
A's,
body
A's.
style in the Chevelles in what, 68?
Yeah, it was like 65 to 67, and they changed it. It was 68,
Mhm.
69, and 70. They just changed headlights, taillights for
Yeah.
amongst those years.
Didn't they have
Yeah.
a station wagon of the Chevelle too? Because it was the fam car they were trying to do back then.
The Chevelle 300 station wagon.
Oh, is that
Yes.
okay?
Okay.
Because I remember one of these I was research. It had a station wagon because they were still doing family stuff and things back then.
The sad thing about this is this became the Caprice and a 4-door.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
But you hear that, man? Even if you get a family, you still can have the wagon version.
That 4-door Caprice.
You don't have to lose
Load.
the Chevelle.
There's a scene in the Brady Bunch where he's standing there with a Chevy wagon. He's like, 454 big block, slaps the roof. And he's over there trying to, I forget which one of the Brady's it is, but he's trying to talk to these girls.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, the Plymouth Barracuda. If I
Hey.
wanted to copyright, I'd play Barracuda.
It's already stuck
I'd
in my
say
head.
A tier.
Plymouth back when they were a thing.
Plymouth back when it was actually Plymouth, and it was actually a good thing. I would say probably A tier in my opinion. The Barracuda is a well-known car. I mean, all of these are really well-known cars.
Right.
I think the legacy of the Barracuda has probably been one that's been pretty solid. I don't think I would put it on par with the Camaro because the Camaros are something. I mean, the legacy has just lasted forever. But I think the Barracuda's got a good solid legacy behind it. I would call it an A-tier car. And there's a lot of love out there for them still. A lot of beautiful cars. So
Was it the Barracuda or the Roadrunner that won the NASCAR championship for Plymouth?
That was a road.
It was a
runner.
Roadrunner.
And they
Okay,
went to the
right, then I
Super
won't.
Bird, which was banned by NASCAR.
Right. Because it
was too
because it was like
aerodynamic.
Secretariat and beat everybody by 4 laps. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it had a giant wing on it, big nose cone on it.
It's like, oh look, downdraft. What does that do?
yeah, well, trust me, when we get to the Roadrunner, that's a legacy vehicle that's probably hard to match in my opinion.
Well, when you're talking millions of dollars for something like
Yes.
and the options and stuff, I mean, come on. That's just Hemmings everybody telling you how much that car is actually worth. But the Barracuda, they had a good song, you know.
Yeah.
Hard had a good song
Ooh,
about
Barracuda.
the Barracuda. This had the Hemi. All right, you had a Hemi in this thing, and those. Not a big Mopar fan, all the way around, but the Hemi, still around, still kicking. That thing put out the power.
Well,
So
the engine's
there's-
niconic.
The
name-
engine's
Even
iconic.
with a 318, it wasn't a slouch.
Okay, no. But I mean, any V8 in this car, this had a really long nose, had a lot of weight to it, and that kind of screws up the handling a bit. But again, not looking to handle in one of these cars, but going in a straight line, real fast, yeah, you could not put a whole lot on one of these engines and go really fast in one of these cars. So,
yeah,
B tier for me,
okay.
only because I'm not a big fan of the look of this car. But from a Hemi, from a standpoint of power and options, and just icon type thing, it's a great car. But I would say B for me.
Okay, so we got A and a B. What about you, Gal?
I was gonna go with a B. It does have recognition, whatever the word is. And it also has points for me because the 70s style I really love. I don't really like any of the others prior to that, but
Oh yeah, because this was a butt ugly car in the mid '60s.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, it was.
65 was probably one of my favorite cars.
And it's rare for me to like any 70s muscle cars, even the Mustang. I cannot.
You
stand.
like the '65, the bubble.
Oh,
Yeah, the bubble
yes.
You like that? Okay. All right. You are a car lover. That's it. That's it. You are a car lover. You know what's under the hood of that thing. Okay, I get it.
So yeah, B for me is
Okay, so we got two B. So Wookie, where are you?
It's B tier. Like I said, I like the 65, the bubble back. I thought that was a cool looking car. It was never as popular as the Challenger or the Charger.
Right.
It didn't have all that. You couldn't get like the fiberglass front end with that, like you could with the Chargers and stuff like that. It was a limited car. I think they had better colors than Dodge did. They just were not as popular, and you didn't see as many of them. Barracudas are a highly sought after car because they're so rare.
You bring up a good point about color. Paint was a big thing.
Oh yeah.
Like there were certain colors that were just better. Like for me, I've always liked Ford blue over what the GM cars blues were, but GM cars in general had a better red. Just how it looked and how in the sun especially. But you're right, Plymouth had really good paint out of the factory. Really good paint.
Yeah. I love purple, but if I got the 69 Chevelle like I would like, it would have to be gunmetal gray with the black racing stripes. It would have to be.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
that's a beautiful car.
Yeah.
Was
That's what
purple
my
one of the
Mustang
original options?
I'm not
I
sure.
think purple, and that's where the snot green came from, was the
Yeah.
Barracuda.
Was that
Oh,
was
cool.
a Barracuda had that?
It was the snot green. It came from the 70s, right?
I'm gonna look up what that color is.
that helped it for
I
me.
think it was like 1971 was the first year or something.
Mhm.
But yeah,
That's my favorite shade of my favorite color.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Of
Plymouth
any
was
of
like
the
the
cars out there,
BMW
green.
of modern
Yeah.
day, because BMW can get some really crazy colors now from the factory,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and that's what Plymouth was doing back in the day.
yes, because
If-
well, I mean, because even if you look at on the television legacy or whatever, with Don Johnson on Nash Bridges, he had a 1971 Barracuda, that bright yellow convertible,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So it's a very photogenic car, if you want my honest opinion. It's a very healthy looking car. I didn't really, so I like it. I think it's what's up there, MK. I think it's a good car. I would, I still don't see the legacy though of like maybe S tier in my opinion. I don't think it
Yeah.
has the recognition of an S tier vehicle. So, I might actually change my mind to probably B. I'd probably give it a B plus, just because it's. But
It's
yeah,
a
I'd
tough
say
call.
B.
It really
It
is a tough call because, as Wookiee says, it wasn't that popular.
No.
This
it
is like a cool kid's car, right?
Yes.
That's really what this was. You're like, okay, I see that green, and I get it,
Yep.
right? And then somebody bought that car, so you had to have somebody in the know back in the '60s and '70s
Mm-hmm.
to buy this car, and they trusted Plymouth as
Yep.
a brand because brand loyalty was huge
Yeah.
in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s,
Oh yeah.
and 80s. I mean, we can sit here and fight Chevy Ford truck now, but I mean, the fight's actually Chevy Ford truck in the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
You're right. But
I mean,
yeah, so that's why you like B plus A. I mean, it really is. This is a petrol head's car.
Mhm.
That's what I would say.
You also had the Hemi Cuda, which had a little bit different styling
yeah.
too.
Yeah, it did.
The Hemi Cudas, I think you only made them 2 years or something like that. They're super
So was it
rare.
70 and 71 or 71 and 72?
Yeah, something like that. If you ever watched the movie Phantasm, they're driving a Hemi Cuda through all those movies.
Was that what was in Phantasm?
Yes,
Yes.
that car
Yeah,
sounds
'cause-
so good.
A Plymouth Hemi Cuda is probably that's gonna set you back a lot of dough today.
Oh yeah.
because
you're
just
probably
rarity and all this stuff.
you're probably talking over $100,000, probably 120,
Minimum, something like that.
130.
Is it? Yeah. But I mean, they have like car shows and stuff here where people, they just get together around where I am, and there's a farmer's market and there's a classic car thing, and there's a Plymouth Hemi there, and it's extremely popular because you don't see it. As Wookie said, you just don't see them that often,
Yeah,
and everybody walks up that doesn't really know the difference. Like, oh, look at that, is that a Dodge and stuff? Oh, no, Plymouth. And
Yeah.
they're like, and the brand's died out, so you're kind of like, what are they calling it?
Yeah. Well, it's just like with anything. Rarity means money.
Yeah.
If yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, I'm not going to kick any of these cars on this list out of bed for eating cookies.
Oh hell no!
All right,
If-
I'm just
Except
I
for
would-
red.
I would
Except for
own-
red Chevelle.
yeah, the Chevelle can go f itself, but I mean,
it's gotta be red with black stripes.
I would drive. I would take the wife and drive by that guy's house and just flip him off as I'm.
He wasn't doing a burnout in that Escort.
No, wasn't happening. That was all front wheel drive, baby. Front wheel drive.
It was great in the snow.
Oh, it worked out great. Yeah, Dad pulled that thing out of a junkyard. They said that the block was cracked. He's like, what? I mean, he bring it in. We take it apart. The gasket's bad. So we replaced the gasket. He bought that thing for $200. My sister and I drove it for like 9 years.
Damn.
And
How-
you can't.
How
That would
did
be
they-
another good cars that won't die. Ford Escort.
Oh yeah, Ford Escort. It just
Oh,
keeps
yeah.
going. Thank you, England, for loving the Escort, you bastards.
Yeah,
Oh.
the Cosworth was a nasty bitch.
Yes, I would take an Escort Cosworth in a heartbeat.
That sucker would move.
Although Cosworth did a Vega and it was a piece of shit.
That was my first car. 1972 Chevy Vega, mustard yellow.
Oh God.
With fake wood paneling. Oh, wait, Wookie, wait. Hatchback. Yeah. I picked up the chicks, but in fact, I think the rubber from the Positrack, because that had all the power going to the one, I had the Positraction on it. The rubber, because there's a hill at the end of my street where I grew up. I think the rubber from when I first time tried to take that thing up that steep hill, learning to drive a stick, is still there. 40 years later, it is
I had a
still there.
71 with a 327, 3500 stalled,
man.
turbo 350, 456 gears with
You
a spool on
could
it.
beat the hell out of that transmission. Chevy had a phenomenal transmission. Put it.
Yeah, but the problem was they didn't put steel liners in the aluminum block and it wore the cylinders out.
Oh yeah, the engine was crap, but well, all right.
When you described that car, Talks, I think Green got a little lightheaded.
No, yeah. I would say that's why the 79 Cutlass Calais with T-tops had two-tone, gray over teal. That's what pulled Mrs. Flew away from the Chevelle. Actually, it was A. She isn't shallow enough to fall for a car.
I am.
But,
Okay. So next up we have the Roadrunner.
who wants to go first on this one? You know
The
what? I want
Roadrunner.
Wookiee to go first on this one.
Yeah,
I will go
Wookiee
A
first.
tier. Rich in NASCAR heritage.
Mhm.
You also have the variant of the Superbird, which is banned in NASCAR. Richard Petty drove.
Yep.
Who else drove it too? Wasn't it somebody else? At Pearson?
King.
Was it Pearson or was it Jarrett? No.
It was two of them that drove them.
Yeah, there were two Roadrunners.
Yeah.
Richard Petty and
I just remember
Yeah.
Petty because that
All
baby
right,
blue.
now I'm gonna have to look it up.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to Google it.
But is required to have a big block, and it is a massive car, is the size of a Chevelle.
Yeah, you got to be huge.
Yep.
It is a modified Challenger. The later models are. This is when it had
Mhm.
its own body. In this photo he has here. So you just imagine a 3 foot sticking out in the shape of a cone and a 4.5 foot tall wing on the back of it.
Yeah.
that's a Roadrunner.
I
And a Superbird.
I would have to say that I would have to say the Roadrunner, because of the Superbird, is going to be an S tier, because the legacy. I mean, you can look at the silhouette of that vehicle coming down the road, and any car guy, is going to know what that is immediately. You're going to go, holy shit, because that car is going to set you back hundreds of thousands.
I'll agree with that, because even the factory Roadrunner, you can look at it and know it.
Yes.
You know that's unmade Superbird. You understand what a Roadrunner is, and a Roadrunner is very, very. You think a Cuda is rare.
Yeah.
A Roadrunner is super rare.
You're probably talking about you'll be cashing out $250,000-$300,000 for one.
Yeah, and that's probably restored. That's probably not all numbers matching original paint.
Yeah.
Jabe Thomas was
Jabe
the other
Thomas was
driver of the Roadrunner.
They broke 220 at Talladega or something like that.
It was an insane amount.
Yeah, I think
Um,
it was over like 212 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unheard of at the time.
That's kind of poetic because now the only person who can afford him is Jay Leno. So
Mad respect for Jay Leno though.
Oh,
Hey,
I know.
he's
he's-
bring-
Oh, yeah.
powered cars.
he knows
Yeah.
his stuff.
He is
his
keeping cars alive.
So
With,
the
so-
572 that Chevy made,
Mhm.
the original, the first one that came off the plant had a Leno 572 on the valve covers because he commissioned that motor.
Really?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so we have A from Wookiee. Where are you guys?
I'm an S.
All
You
right.
can change mine to S. I'll agree with that because it's so iconic.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. This is an S tier for one reason above everything else. Richard Petty.
Yeah.
And his blue. When you think Richard Petty, when you think anything, when it comes to the Plymouth, it's that blue, number 43 on it, blowing everybody out of the water.
Mhm.
And
Oh, yeah.
the Superbird did it for 2 years, before they banned it and everything. But he was still racing those, right? And he's the king
Yep.
of NASCAR. So
Yes.
That
that
was still
alone,
NASCAR.
yeah.
Yeah, back when
Oh wait, NASCAR kind of died. When did they do that stupid race
NASCAR
for
died
the
when
chase?
Earnhardt hit the wall.
Yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
That was they
Praise
stopped.
Hale, praise Dale.
All right, I'm just gonna get it out.
Rest
I'm
in
gonna-
peace, but he was a dick, and I hate him.
Oh,
he was a dick.
He
That's
was
the
a
point.
dick, but
yeah, he was the
he was a
Intimidator.
dick, but the greats are a dick. Look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is the most famous basketball player in history,
Well-
and he was a hard ass on the court to his.
Oh, Larry
teammates.
Bird was. You see all the stuff about Larry Bird. He was the biggest trash talker in NBA history.
Mhm.
He would call shots. He would tell him, "I'm going to play this entire second half left-handed, and you can't stop me," and then score 30 points.
Well, you
with
even
his
take
left
modern
hand.
NASCAR. The biggest dick is one of the best drivers, and I hate to admit, it's Kyle Busch.
Oh yeah, he's an
Yeah.
absolute. But you can't.
I'm a Dale
Talent
Jarrett
knows it.
girl.
Dale Jarrett. Okay. I
In
get
my
it.
house,
My
we
dad
had
loves Dale
those,
Jarrett too. So there
Yeah.
you go.
I got to
I'm-
meet Dale Jarrett
I'm just
Oh, he
saying.
did. Oh,
in my buddy's kitchen.
I even suffered through that ugly brown color
I
with
know.
the UPS
Fucking
stuff
UPS.
because Dale Jarrett. Yeah.
Dude, I remember he wore that Dallas Cowboys helmet 2 years in a row, and they weren't supposed to because he won Daytona 500 the first time with it on.
Mm-hmm. They're like, no. He's like, F that.
I like Dale. Dale's a good guy.
Mhm. So here's my bone. NASCAR. All right. NASCAR started from moonshiners
Yep.
Yep.
running together. All right,
In the
it's
South.
it's outlaw,
Yeah.
Mhm.
outlaw country.
It was.
All right, so it was, and then they stopped it. Oh, we can't do that. We have to be sensitive. We have to be all that stuff. I said, what are you, Formula One?
Yeah.
Don't give me that crap. So,
Well, yeah.
I mean, when we get to the Oldsmobile, I'll tell you this story. Okay, the 442, because that's my X Factor car right there for very personal reasons, and I'll get into that. But my NASCAR story and racing story comes in there. But NASCAR's outlaw. It is no longer outlaw. It is
No.
Can we swear on your channel?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. NASCAR is now for pussies. That's all it is. Hey, don't give me any of this crap. You're like, if you ain't cheating, you ain't doing it right.
Rubbin's racing.
Yeah,
That's
Robin's racing.
That's right. Put somebody in the wall. And Chase Elliott got suspended because somebody put him in the wall intentionally. Then he did. It was a mistake. Whatever. No, he put you in the wall intentionally, and then he got suspended for retaliation. I'm like, no. That's racing, folks.
Well,
That's how you keep people honest.
Look at one of Tom Cruise's most iconic movies, Days of Thunder.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So underrated.
I mean that
Yeah,
movie's fucking incredible.
Put him in the wall.
I
Yep.
was an infant in my mother's arms at the fight at Daytona.
Oh,
Nice.
oh man.
all I know
it
is
just used to make your heart thump.
But
all I
right
know
now-
is in my house the effigy candle wasn't of Jesus, it was of Dale Earnhardt Jr. So that's all I know.
What a
It just turns
freak.
out he's a woke bastard.
what the
too.
freak?
What a freak accident that was.
Oh, I know.
So it just, for that to come up, hit him in the face and the right angle and all that stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, that was,
That was sad.
and
It
how
really
it
was.
happened.
It wasn't even that. It wasn't that bad. It didn't look that bad, and then
Yeah.
everybody was so
Didn't
shocked.
look-
when
I
that
remember-
Well, it was the fact
Darrell
the car hit the
Waltrip.
wall and stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Darrell Waltrip. He knew. I was watching that race when it happened.
Yeah,
So
Daryl
was I.
fucked up.
And there's two things I remember in race. Gordon Smiley in IndyCar, he was doing a hot lap. Dad and I were in a piano store, or next door to the piano store. They were getting a piano for my sister. This is 81. And we're watching television across the way. And Gordon Smiley is Indy. He's doing his hot lap for qualifying. Loses the front traction bar. He lost one of the front bar and just immediately hung a right straight into the wall. And his NASCAR ended up about 1.5 feet wide from there. So that affected me because there was nothing to pull out of the car. And then Dale Earnhardt, because he hit and you could feel it.
Neil Bonnet was pretty bad too on the throttle.
Oh, Neil Bonnet. Oh my God. Oh, there's
The bad thing was nobody had anything bad to say about Neil Bonnet.
No. But yeah, Dale Earnhardt, come on. He is what he is. But but Darrell Waltrip, listening to him when that happened, he knew. And you could tell he was quivering. His voice was quivering and he was bubbling and he couldn't get it out. He's like, Dale's not moving. That's the first thing I remember hearing
Yeah.
was that. And then, because they were all, oh, look, your brother's won, and they're expecting him to be excited.
He's
Right,
like, I'm
'cause-
worried about Dale. I was like, why isn't Dale out of the car?
Why isn't
Yeah.
Dale out of the car?
Yeah.
Dale's not
Yeah.
moving. And everybody just snapped to that right at that point in the booth. And
Because
stuff in there.
I mean, that's one of the first things in racing, whether it be drag racing or something like that. If the driver's okay, the first thing they do is they get their ass out the fucking car.
Yep.
They take their
if they
helmets
can.
off.
Mhm.
They take their helmets off. They take their fucking, their fire suit gloves off and stuff like that. And they just look at the car like, dude, what the fuck happened? You know what I'm saying? It's just,
Mhm.
you see it all the time. And when the driver doesn't get out of the car, you immediately, think you're like, oh shit, he's stuck in the
Mhm.
car. He's
Something's
unconscious. He's
Something's wrong.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Well, what was that one race car driver got into the accident? This was in the early 60s in the European tour, and he burned, his hands were burned. He says, make him fit a steering wheel. God, I'll have to look that up. I have so many stories from my father
Hey,
who used to race back in those days. I'm sorry.
y'all gonna send me into a depression here, goddammit.
Oh, no, wait. So
Green.
my dad used to race, and he did Austin Healey's. He was in St. Louis at the old airport doing a race. My mom was very pregnant with me. This was 68. And he blew an engine, tore it down, rebuilt it in 2 hours, was back out. He was moving. Now, Austin Healey, the Sprite's a small car, all right? So, granted, it's a 4-cylinder engine. There's not a whole lot to it. His friend was out there racing, went off the course, went into the hay bales. These were the old hay bales, the rectangular ones. He went through that. Wire hit him in the neck and decapitated him.
Oh fuck!
As he went through. My mom turned to my father and said, "You're done." That's it. That was the last race he ever raced, because she says, "You are not leaving me with this child alone," and stuff like that, because they knew those people and stuff from there. And the safety that they've had in the last 30 years is huge compared to what it used to be. And that's why I'm tying all this back to why this is an S tier car, the Plymouth Roadrunner. Because it spawns these kind of discussions. Because you talk, what is this iconic about? NASCAR during the heyday, during the outlaw years, during the hell be damned, here we go kind of stuff. That's why, to me, yeah, this is a top tier car.
Yeah, it is NASCAR. That car is NASCAR in my opinion. So that's why I picked S.
All right, Green, you agree? S tier.
Actually, so I do, but funny story, I'm really bad at like knowing names of things. Like I can sing lyrics and I don't know who sings it, what the title of the song is. Similar with cars, so I didn't think I knew what this car was until I looked it up and I'm like, "Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I know this car, especially the Super B."
Yep.
So, yeah, definitely no disagreement here.
Yeah, and the Roadrunner did come with the Roadrunner on the quarter panel if you got the right edition.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Those
Yeah, I
are
remember
very
that.
in demand.
Oh,
Culture
yeah.
Casino's in the chat.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
Yeah.
He may be a bit too old for fast cars, but
Oh,
It still had wooden wheels.
yeah. I imagine Culture, if he was ever racing, it was like the Flintstones, you know, when you.
yabba dabba doo.
I love you, brother. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Culture. Pontiac GTO.
I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, that was a masturbation joke.
We're actually gonna go do it.
If you just said 38 seconds, we'd have believed that.
Oh, there it is. Hold on. Bam.
I'm fine if anyone has to go use the bathroom. It's
I think Mrs.
understandable.
Full just yelled, "That's right," from the other room. Thanks so much, Nikki. I appreciate that.
Yeah, at some point, Green's gonna be like, "Yeah, I gotta go flick something." Okay, so GTO. Who wants to start this one now?
There's only one word for the GTO, and that is the judge.
100%.
The judge is S tier. That is things that made men quiver. Even though the motors sucked and couldn't turn harder RPMs, the body styling of that car, also known as the Pontiac Le Mans.
Yep. The Le Mans. Yep.
Yep. But the GTO had a hood-mounted tack, special paint.
Oh,
They were just beautiful cars.
Oh, and the hood mounted tack too is fucking iconic. That is something that if you see that, like, you know what that is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I would at least say A, you know, because I think hardcore car guys know exactly what that is. I don't think it's as recognizable as like the obviously the Roadrunner is, but I think it's a hard A, maybe even an A plus. So that's kind of where I'm leaning on that.
Okay, so we got A. Wookie, you said what was your choice?
S.
S.
So this is another car on this list that had its first production year the year I was born. And I do like the original GTO look. Maybe because I'm old and that kind of look, but There was a movie that I saw growing up called My Science Project. And it had a Pontiac GTO. And it had a 68. And it had a Judge. Okay. The guy who drove the 68, somebody was behind him in this movie and giving him crap. And he pulled this lever. And out from the trunk came this neon finger out of the back to flip the guy off. And I was like, Dad, what kind of car is that? And he said, GTO. So we started looking at all that. It's an iconic car. It's a classic, all looks and no trouser kind of car to me. There's not a whole lot underneath the hood, but it looks great. And it's iconic from there. So, yeah, this is an A+ S tier car. Yeah. Just, yeah.
What
Might as
about
well
you,
put it in
Green?
yes then, because top
I would
notch.
own this. I would own the Judge. I would own a 68. I would own this car. I would drive it right now.
Just put an LS in it, you'll be
Same.
fine.
Oh, yeah. If we put some real power in it.
Next up, we
Turbocharged LS
got
is all you need.
the Pontiac.
Well, there's something to be
Firebird.
said for having too much power in a car and not handling it.
Yeah. Those
Because
cars
it's all
do
about
not
power.
handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, we got the Pontiac Firebird. Who wants to start this one now?
Firebird is C tier B tier compared to the Trans Am.
Yes, I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The Pontiac Trans Am is beyond iconic because of Smokey and the Bandit.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's so no, I'm gonna say the Pontiac Firebird probably B tier.
Yeah. They were the same car, just
Yep.
different trim levels is all they
Yep.
were.
That's it.
But the name was everything.
Yeah.
It was just Pontiac's version. That was the whole GM wrap.
And the badass Trans Am had a Firebird on the hood.
Mhm. I like the T-tops. I've always been a sucker for T-tops in cars. And just something about them.
I really liked T-tops, but they were so bad sometimes at leaking when it would rain.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you owned a T-top car, once every 2 years, you're putting new seals on it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
But you know what? It's just like anything else. You take care of it, it's fine.
Yes.
You know, okay, so I change my oil every
Looks like
4,000
living-
miles, whether it needs it or not.
Unless you like
Why?
live in Florida, that freaking rots out all your steel.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I've been watching a lot of Dry Tribe stuff, which is the Richard Hammond and James May, those guys over there, Top Gear.
Oh my god, the,
Yeah,
the
they do all
original.
that stuff, and they love these Subarus, and they keep talking about having to go back and do all this metal work because the salt water and air rust those things out like crazy.
Mhm.
And you
Japanese
live,
steel.
yeah, you live anywhere near those areas, yeah. You've got to, but you got to know your car. You have to take care of it, and that's why there's so few of these around, because you just drove them.
Yep.
Like my uncle had that '67 Camaro, and Dad would have taken it and preserved it, but he sold it to somebody else. They wrecked it. It got, all those things are gone. I can't find a '79 Cutlass Calais because all those G bodies were used for racing.
Yep. Same thing with the 80 Camaro. Can't
Yeah,
find
you
any of the
can't
80s
find it.
Camaros.
Yeah, because everybody used them for racing and stuff from there. That to me is why the Camaro, why it is also an S tier.
Yep.
Only except we're outside of 72, which was Wookiee said after 72 nothing actually existed. So,
Yeah.
But I'd say there's so many of those cars used in racing because
Even the 80s style Camaros. I mean, how many of those damn things are running around fucking?
There's none because they were all
fucking
turned into
drag
dirt track
tracks.
cars.
yeah,
Yeah,
they turned them all to dirt tracks.
cars.
I mean, dirt track. I grew up in dirt track. God,
Yeah.
I grew
They're
up
all
watching
turned into
dirt track.
cars.
that's
Even
Yep.
a Ceasefire 86 IROC now is like 70 grand because they don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I knew a friend that had one of those, bought it secondhand, and he bought it for $2,500 in
I got T-boned in my
89.
83. Wish still had it.
Okay.
But yeah,
Green.
I mean, even a, the thing about the Firebird, okay, yeah, C tier. It is definitely a C tier thing because all it was a Camaro with a different trim on it. That's it. And didn't have all the options. It wasn't as popular. It looked kind of like somebody with a long beak nose. It looked like a bird.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it was aptly named. Okay, whatever.
So we got 2 C's and a B.
Yeah.
So green, it's up to you. Do you go B and then it goes to me, or are you going C and what?
I'm
how does it
leaning
look?
towards B, but that's because of the Trans Am. I love a Trans Am.
Well, you know what's funny is my friends and I used to call it the fire chicken because yep. Yeah, we used to call it the fire chicken.
I noticed there's no Ford Thunderbird on this list. Who made this?
I don't know if that'd be
I
considered-
noticed that too.
If
I'm
the
just
vet's on
kidding.
here, the Ford Thunderbird
So
should be on
sorry,
No.
expert.
God
No,
damn
no,
it,
it
Devil!
is.
Did you fuck it up again?
No.
there. But that's honorable mentions at the end.
At the end. Because it's technically not a muscle car.
Yeah.
Every time I tried to put certain cars on here, like my dad is literally knows every single thing you could imagine. You know, and every single time I tried to put certain cars on, he's like, nah, that wouldn't be on there. And he'd tell me why. So I was like, okay, so we don't put that on there. You know?
Yeah, that's
So-
a study in how Ford screwed up their cars. Is the Thunderbird?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We
So
can
we
touch
got
on
2
that at the
B's
end.
and a C.
Yeah.
So that means my decision, I guess. I will go. I'll go C because if
Go with the woman's answer. Go with the woman's
No,
answer.
honestly, the woman was about to change to a C before he
Okay,
decided to be
then
the
you're still going with
tiebreaker.
the woman's answer. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
Because I was like, you know what? I can't give it props because of the Trans Am because it's not the Trans Am. So
yeah, I'm kind of leaning. I'm kind of leaning towards you change it to a C too. So I think we're all
The 70s version of it was better than the 60s and the later 70s, and it was because of a movie.
See,
If
Yeah.
if it had been like the Superbird, it changed the face of racing or something. That's different. But
Yeah.
this was iconic in a movie. So
see, I put it in C because I know what women want before they do. That's just me.
smart man.
hold on a second. Here's Devil Made Me Do It with Women right there. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I failed again. There we go.
I need some liquor.
Yep.
All I have is cold coffee. Okay. Okay, next up, the Corvette. So how do you guys feel about the Corvette?
I don't really rank the Corvette as a muscle car.
No. I wouldn't rank this or the Ford Mustang as muscle cars. Either one of them. I wouldn't.
Wait.
Now, okay, Eleanor, all that kind of stuff. I get it. But 64 and a half. My mother had one.
God, I want one so bad.
Yeah.
Straight
And
six, slow
that's
piece
the
of
X
shit.
factor. I know that's the X factor on it. But my first ex-wife was a huge Mustang fan and had them and all that stuff. So she had a 25th anniversary edition that she decided to trade in. Anyway, whatever.
Do you know why they created the Mustang?
To compete with
First,
It was-
the 64 and a half Mustang only had a straight six in it.
and it
The
was
first
for women.
V8 was in 1965. It was a 260. The
It was made
Mustang
for
was
women.
created for your housewife to go to the grocery store.
Yes, it was
Mhm.
created for women.
it's the
Guys
Coors
made
Light
it a muscle
of
car.
cars. Right.
Do you know what they said when they introduced the Chevrolet Camaro and they asked the CEO of Chevy, what the hell is a Camaro? We know what a Mustang is. He said, well, it's a small creature that eats Mustangs.
Oh,
and they
that's
did for
why-
the next 3 years.
that's why I would not put Ford Mustang as a muscle car. It wasn't dreamed up as that. It became one.
Yeah,
King one.
it became one in 1967. I would say that
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
and
that's
that-
about right.
Yeah.
But then again, you have to say that after 1967, though, you would be a fool to leave it off the list. But yeah, no, it was very
Yeah.
very true.
Well, until you got
It
to
was
Mach
meant-
1.
It was meant for grocery moms to go to the
The
grocery.
Mach 1 is 4.5 miles long.
Are we talking
Yes.
about the Mustang? Or are we talking about the Corvette right now?
Zero to
Oh,
60
Toxic started
and-
this conversation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Chevrolet Corvettes.
I was gonna say I
So-
didn't see no moms going getting groceries in Corvettes, but
No, but I mean,
My
you
mom
had.
did.
So there was the prototype on this was the Mako Shark. That was the car that came out as a prototype for this. They had a few of those, and then that had that classic styling to it. You can almost can't tell the difference between the two. And then, but that's this particular body style that we're looking at on the screen right now, because the original Corvette was much smaller. So it was very similar to the Mustang. It was small, but that's when it came out and all this stuff. And then it became this iconic car. The 70s versions of this car were just awful. Just awful. And you've got to have a late 60s or ZR or something. You got to, the popularity of Corvettes now, they have Corvette groups. It is, they race it in Europe, and Chevy does everything that they can to try and bump this thing up. And I grew up near where they did the Z engines in Oklahoma. So they had built that stuff there. They had a lot of, we got to see a lot of these things coming out from there. Just from an iconic nature, I think this is an S tier car. Now, having said that, I would not own one of these unless I got a really good deal on it. So that's just, they're uncomfortable to sit in. The newer models have more drivability, but there was just a mountain out in front of you. You couldn't see what you were doing. And so S tier because of icon from there. But, and again, somebody gives me one of these, I'm not kicking it out of bed for eating cookies. All right. But
All
I
right.
just,
Well, I want to put out there in case you guys, because it is an option. If you don't think any one of these deserves to be on the list, you can put it in the void, or as we call it, the paranormal activity line.
Okay. Well, it is. There are certain ones of these that are muscle cars. I would argue that it's one of the few American muscle cars left over at this point. You've got Dodge doing some good things. And would any of the Ford Cobras be considered that? Oh, wait. Why is the Ford Cobra 2 not on here? I just wanted to see if Wookie was paying attention.
Cobra 2.
Yeah.
What the fuck is I know what a Mustang 2 is.
Yeah. They did a Cobra
I don't know
on the Mustang 2 version called the Cobra 2.
Oh, I never seen one of those.
Awful. Oh my God. It sounded like a lawnmower engine. But I don't think you can argue that this isn't a classic American muscle car because of the iconic nature of it. And they drag race these things. And a guy up the street from us, mechanic Dad used to go to all the time, started doing computer chips when they first started happening in the 80s to tune Corvettes for drag racing. And he made so much money doing that's all he did for the next 20 years was just tuning Corvettes. So from that popularity that's out there, you can't beat that. So that's my defense for this being S tier is icon. How many people had them? How many people still love them? You got entire owners groups and things and stuff out there. And it's an iconic Chevy brand.
What about you, Wookie? How do you feel about it?
It's feeding these dogs.
Okay. What about you, Ryan?
I'm gonna go with S tier for the same reason. Because it is an iconic car. You literally could ask a normie on the street what's a Chevrolet Corvette, and they're gonna know what it is. One model or another, one generation or another. And it's literally been around for decades upon decades. I mean, they're making them still to this day. So I think you would have a hard time arguing anything other than S.
What about you, Green?
Oh, absolutely yes. Especially because the Camaro's up there. Fuck the Camaro.
Wookie, what about you?
So I look at, was it 56? Or was it 65 or 56 first year vet? Straight
53.
6 fuel. 53. Yeah, fuel injected straight 6 was meant to mirror European cars in a way. It's more of a pure sports car than a muscle car. The only one for me that is a pure muscle car Devil talked about, it was 69 427 tri-power that made like 150 more horse than was stated for insurance reasons.
Right.
To me, that is the only muscle car version of this. On a muscle car list, pure muscle, I'd have to put it on A tier.
And you know what? I
And if it
100%
doesn't have
would
a
agree with
Z
that.
after the name, it's not a vet.
I 100% would agree with that. It was just like the Mustang. Well, the Mustang was a grocery getter, but this was created to go up against those European sports cars. So it's technically, I cannot put a hole in your argument. It is iconic. People associate it with being a muscle car, but it is not.
Yeah.
I can't argue that.
Yeah.
I
It's
guess
more of a pure
technically I
sports car.
would consider it more sports car than muscle car.
It's flash. It's
As well.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It's
a
a Hollywood
phallic
car.
symbol.
And I'll even give you that with Mustang too, technically.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Because this up to the 60, I think the 60 is my favorite with the dual headlamps
Yeah.
on it. I it's a nice smooth line, but that's what I mean. My dad was racing those Austin Healey's, same look, right?
Yeah.
In the same lines, all that stuff from there. So that
63
Wookiees,
split
great
window is
point.
probably the most iconic.
Mhm.
When you get to the old,
The Stingray coupe
yeah.
and the Stingray, yeah.
But the split window was only 1963 because they blocked your view too much and they banned that car, much like the 70 Camaro with the split bumper. But the 69 is just, it's iconic in the amount of, it made 500 and some horsepower in 69. That was insane.
Was that the one that they gave to the astronauts?
I think so. Yeah.
Because that had the T-tops, right?
Yep.
Okay, that was it.
And, and those cars kind of ruled the street for a little bit, but that was like, in my opinion, the only muscle car here. Now, pure sports car, yes.
If it was a sports car list,
It'd
and
be
I,
S tier.
I think
Yeah.
that is. So I'm going to change
Should
because
we
I
put
think
it
it's
in
a
void?
rules of the road. This is not really a muscle car.
So it should be in the void, is what we're saying.
I think
Well,
he's
if you're going to
changing-
do a sports car tier, I think you'd have number one have to open it up to foreign cars.
Well,
But-
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the void is if you guys don't think it should be on the list. or
No,
if it's
no,
so
there
bad.
are certain generations of this that are considered a muscle car.
muscle, right?
yeah.
Yeah. But
That's the thing. This
the
is a
car
tough one.
itself is over the years is not.
Mm-hmm.
It's more now. It's a hyper sports car.
It is,
Um,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even in the 2000s with the C6s and stuff like that, they were just pure sports cars going after Ferraris and Lambos and stuff like that. They
Yeah.
weren't worried about Mustangs.
Yeah, they've shortened it. There was some
New vet sucks to drive, by the way.
Yeah. But there was a point where they decided we're going to make this to work on road courses.
Yeah.
They're going to try and prove, like Ford proved we could do it back in the day. They're going to try and prove that we could do it now with a hyper supercar or whatever. Yeah. I cannot refute or argue against anything Wookiee said. Is this in the void?
I don't think so. No.
No.
I'm
I
adjusting
think-
to A based on Wookiee's point. It's valid.
From a muscle car list, yeah. I would drop from S tier to an A, but this is an
Still iconic as
iconic
hell.
America car.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
Okay,
that
so everyone's in agreement. It's an A.
Yeah.
I still don't think I can budge on it, guys. Sorry. The iconic.
No, I understand that. I
Yeah, I
can't
don't-
argue with either one of your two points on this at all. This is
Yeah.
a classic American car. But
I mean, they
Like the
know this
overall-
car around the world.
that's the thing.
So I think I have 3 A's.
Yeah, I think there's 3 A's, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't budge.
Sorry, Ryan.
No, and I, you know what? I am not going to argue against you. This is not like you went and saw Barbie and said you liked it.
I haven't seen it yet. I still got to.
I refuse.
No, you
But I
don't.
always
No
think
one
it's
has
Barbie.
to see that movie. We can all forget.
There's
it
not a
existed.
female in my life that wants to go see this film. I'm so happy.
His daughter
Somehow
goes, "I want to
the-
go see you, Dad." You're all, "Oh, shame."
Sail the high seas is all I'm going to say.
I'm
It
not
was
even going to do
definitely
that.
not a movie for me specifically. I despise the color pink and I hate Barbies. So
I seen Tugs out of the theater response today on Twitter.
So did I.
Yeah, she looked like she was pretty upset.
Yeah.
like she didn't like it.
Oh, she asked for a refund.
You know, you guys know MagTech Mags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She
Oh,
was a
man,
Mags earlier.
she says she was hurting when she came out of the theater.
Yeah, Mags was really disappointed about it.
But
Yeah,
there's some
no one
people that
talked about
love that
today.
stuff. Yeah.
No one expected green hair to like it. I expect her to be outside beating up the girls coming out of it.
Culture
I
went to
want
see
to
it.
so much. Like even
You got
like,
pink
my
hair,
best
catch a
friend.
fist.
Yeah.
I just it makes me so mad that it made money, but I knew it would because women, and it just ugh.
Hasn't made its budget back yet.
Yeah, I think it's going to burn out. It might make money next week, but I think it's going to burn
See,
out.
and that's the other part because women, they don't go for rewatching, and then they don't really talk to other people about movies to say go to this if they like it. Like that's just that's a dude thing and a chick like me thing. Like
I don't know how we went from muscle cars to Barbie movie, but that's
It was
let's see if we
fault.
can pull us back. Okay, the AMC Javelin AMX. I've never even heard of this, but
Yeah,
I was told
it was a
could be
thing.
on
There's a
there.
lot of drag cars.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
probably a C tier car.
I would-
AMC was not very popular back in the day. If they were, you
Yeah.
were broke.
Yeah, it was. I think its big motor too was a 6.4 liter, like 15 horsepower or something like
Yeah.
that in the 70s.
No.
I think it died out in like 78, right? The Javelin did. That was last year.
Yeah, well, everything died
Yeah.
in '78. So
So
The 70s.
that's when AMC died too, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
79?
Yep. Somewhere
Yeah.
around in there.
I
We had a
think-
1974 AMC Hornet as our family car, so
Yeah. The
Yeah,
problem with the AMC cars, they were half Chrysler, half Ford, half Chevy.
half this, half that.
Yep.
I would say probably. I would almost even probably go D. I don't think anybody's gonna. I don't think anybody really knows what an AMC is. A Javelin is, to be honest.
It's not in the void because there's so many drag cars built out of these.
Yeah,
You
I
see
mean,
them at the drag. Even today, you still see them at drag strip.
1968 is my favorite year. The lines on this car, the 68 version and everything, it kind of follows that Chevelle Camaro look, right? It was so popular, people imitate it. And that's what AMC did with that. But I go back to the James Bond movie where they took an AMC Javelin, jumped it in a corkscrew motion over a river. So it's an iconic stunt, goes up off to one side, and it flips side over side and lands on the other end. They've never
That's
been
the
able to
Louisiana movie,
recreate.
right?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one with Roger Moore where they're down
The Voodoo.
Voodoo one.
Where's that one?
What's that? Is
Live and
that,
Let Die.
Live and Let Die? Is
Yeah.
that the
I
one with
believe it was
that?
Live and Die.
He's living on the
Okay.
die. Yeah, that sounds right.
But they haven't been able to recreate that stunt. And outside of know these cars because we had one, and nobody else does, right? They so yeah, I would say C tier just because of that stunt, and I like the look of the 68, and yeah, but that's me.
Okay.
But I would also agree with this being D. But yeah.
So C, but you'll agree if somebody wants to go D.
Yeah, if Wookie says it's a D,
I said it
and
was a D.
Ryan says it was D. If they that, I would not disagree with that at all. So, but for a personal X factor, for me, it's a C.
You're so mean to Gal. This is her favorite car. She told me.
definitely not. Like I know I've heard of the Javelin. Like I had to look this one up in detail. I'm like, what the
Yeah.
And
The
the only one-
Gremlin was almost just as popular as the
yeah.
Javelin.
It's a
All the
gremlin.
Gremlins. They made
Not a gremlin.
a souped up version of the Gremlin.
Yeah, which is like a Pinto with a V8 in it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you want to talk about a car that was ugly as hell. I
What-
knew people
wasn't
that
it-
own those.
Wasn't it the gremlins that kept fucking catching on fire?
The Gremlins kept catching on fire, and the Ford Pinto is the one that had the joke in the movie Top Secret, where you just tapped the back end and it exploded because they had all the gas tank issues.
It was what, Ralph
Yeah.
Nader?
Ralph Nader. That's what made
Yeah.
him famous coming in.
Yeah,
for
the
that.
fuel tank was behind the rear
Mhm.
axle, wasn't very protected, and in a severe rear end accident, it would cause it
Yeah.
to catch on fire.
It catch on fire. Yep.
Oh, jeez.
Lovely.
All right. So it sounded like mostly people were saying D. So
Yeah.
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 The,
It's
the-
still an iconic car. It's just nowhere near as popular as anything
not
else.
as any of the others. I do like the AMC red better than any other reds that were out there. So
The 68 is definitely the only one that I like in style, by the way.
yeah, you saw that.
That
Yeah,
is-
you see that in red, and
Yep.
it came in a green, and there was another color. But yeah,
AMC
I
also
don't
did
like
have
the
some
green on
crazy
it.
colors.
Yeah.
yeah, they did some nutso colors. They were, but you're right. They were trying to be Plymouth. They were trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were trying to do all these other things. They were just trying so hard, and you could tell.
Yep. That's what it is.
Right.
They had an orange. That's what our car was in red, and then we had another one that was in the orange.
Speaking of orange. Okay, the Ford Mustang. We already heard some of how you guys feel about the Mustang.
I have a Chevy shirt on. I'll go first.
Yes, please go first.
As far as iconic, it's S tier.
Mm-hmm.
It's just up. It's up there with the Camaro. Matter of fact, them and the Camaro have been head to head for years.
Yep.
Staying in that range, I would say it's S tier as far as what people did to those cars, not what they came from the factory with. And it is still the number one woman's car.
I love my Mustang. I'm not taking that as an insult either.
Yeah.
Um,
It's called a pony car for a reason, but yes, that and the Camaro helped change the landscape of what a muscle car was. I'm not going to downplay how great what it did for the muscle car thing. I'm just going to say it's a shit car.
I will go and agree with the majority of that. As somebody who comes from a Ford family, the Mustang is absolutely probably my favorite car, or at least one of my favorite cars on this list.
Mhm.
And if I could own any car, it'd be a 1967 Shelby GT500. I think that would be just easy to fucking pick out.
Yeah.
And that's where Ford came into its own with the Mustangs with Shelby and all that good stuff.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, because it just would have. I don't think that the car would have survived throughout the years if it hasn't been for that Shelby linking to that.
Which went to Chevrolet first, by the way.
Oh, that's right. You were saying that behind the scenes. I did not know. He went
His
Chevy first.
supercar he built before he died had a goddamn Cadillac motor in it. What of all fucking things?
All right. So
I like Mustangs, but what the heck was Ford thinking in 1994 or 98 with that bubble
bring that
car
up.
look? I don't know what the heck is going on. And yeah,
And I will say this: Ford right now, I think when they came back with their retro Mustang, was better looking than the Camaro or the Challenger.
yes, I will agree with that.
Yeah,
And I don't
agree with
acknowledge the EV. That's not a Mustang.
No, there is no,
No,
such thing.
that's an SUV.
It's an SUV. Yeah, that, I don't know what that is.
Shit.
Yeah.
It's shit.
Ford doesn't
It's
make
alien.
a car other than the Mustang anymore.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And they shouldn't, because the ones that they did just
Oh, what about the Taurus SVO?
The 4.6 liter, what the fuck were you thinking? The 5.4 liter, what the fuck were you thinking?
What's going on?
I mean, I can really break it down.
Yeah, after they should have never dropped below 5.0.
No.
Well, the
You know,
5.4s were just as bad as the 4.6s.
So I think the 302 was a solid motor. Obviously, it was a lot of the 302 motors, the 5.0s were like all forged internals and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I really liked the 80s style Mustangs, but after that, I think I was a little iffy on them.
60s.
Even like the 2005 when they kind of started bringing the more classic, slightly modern look back, I was like a little iffy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've always been a huge fan of the Shelby versions. You know,
100%.
so, but
I went
I
to the
think
Shelby Museum in Vegas. It was a bad
Nice.
decision because I didn't want to leave without one. There was this green one. Oh my God, convertible. It was amazing.
Ford green. I don't know what it is about that color.
Never own a convertible car. It weighs 1,000 pounds more than it should and handles
Yes.
like shit.
I will,
My
I will
last
never.
Mustang
You
was
should
a
also
convertible.
avoid a sunroof because that is extra weight and less handling.
I
Sunroof,
want my
yeah.
convertible. Thank you very much.
No convertible.
So-
I got a
awful.
convertible Mercedes in my driveway.
Oh, nice. Which one?
Fucking hate convertibles.
I got
hate 'em.
a 05 SLK 55.
Oh, the SLKs. That's an iconic look too. When you're talking about, well, that's a different. Sorry. My ex-wife had a 25th anniversary 5.0 black interior.
Oh,
She traded it in. I
What?
specifically told
That's
her,
why she's red?
don't. Right. Well,
Makes sense.
specifically said, don't. She said, I'm going to go look at this car. Da, 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 in Oklahoma City. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to look at this. Said, don't trade in the other one. I'll buy it off of you and you can put down payment, whatever, on this new
yeah.
one. She comes back with a 94 black with a saddle leather interior. And she brings up in the driveway. She says, oh, look, you want to drive it? I just look at her and go, nope. Walk right back in the house.
Here's
Well,
the
like-
divorce papers.
Lost and everything, right?
Here's
So
the
that's
deeper
a
question.
limited edition 25th anniversary. The last and she comes back and says, "Oh, look, it's got a 4.6. It's got a what?" And I'm like, done,
Ooh.
done. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know what they were thinking at that point because Ford was making some dumbass decisions, but man, that was just, and they held on to that for 10 years.
Did you
So
cry?
we had a was it a
No, I didn't cry. I just
2012
dumbass.
Roush
I rolled
And
my
the other
goddamn
day-
eyes.
with like 20,000 miles, and our dealership marks everything up like $7,000-$8,000, and they wanted $22,000 a car card, 50,000 miles on it, convertible, all original, but it was Roush in name only.
oh,
Yeah, it just had the plaques on it. It was on the van or whatever, but it had the factory motor, factory suspension. And that's what a lot of people don't understand when you get like I've met people with saline Mustangs, and this is a body kit.
Salines.
There's nothing special done with it.
bull.
Yeah, there's packages you buy: saline 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bull. Yeah,
Part
salines.
of
Yeah.
our criteria. Just saying.
Green. So
That's
how
why
do
I
you
say a
feel?
vet has to have a Z at the end of it.
I'm just
So-
gonna
You know how I
put
feel,
out the
Devil.
first one there. I'm gonna say A tier here. It could be S tier because it's iconic. But from a muscle car standpoint, there was nothing under the hood in this thing that
Yeah.
can compare with what's going on with those others.
You had to swap the Cleveland engine in or something like that.
Yeah,
to
you
power
had
out
to
of it?
do a bunch of work to get this thing to even compete on a drag strip with a stock Corvette. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so Green says God tier. So where was
Mine is-
everyone
You're
else?
saying God tier.
I said
I'm
S tier.
still, I'm
It
still
is
at
S
S
tier
tier.
for iconic.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like everyone's in agreement.
I have personal reasons that
Yeah.
it's A tier. Kind of like the Chevelle. Fuck that car.
Yeah.
Okay, Ford Torino, and we're not talking about the movie, the car, but
Damn it! I studied Clint Eastwood all week.
we all can start calling each other racial names later.
After the stream ends.
Yet another car that comes in a station wagon. What a
Yes. Yes.
what ugly car.
Torino is probably C or B. That was like your
At
dad's
best.
car.
Yeah, I would
But I love
agree.
it.
I'd
Now
probably
it's a muscle car. Now it is.
I would say
Mm-hmm.
C. Because yeah, it was kind of it wasn't really something that was that spectacular. I mean, now of course it's got more notoriety to it, but I think the legacy alone, I don't see it being higher than probably like a C plus.
Yeah, it's the old grumpy racist guy's car.
Yes.
Mhm.
They did a Cobra version
They
of
did a
this.
Cobra version of that. Yes, they
Holy
did.
crap.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
had a Cobra jet in it.
Yep.
Oh, there it is.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wasn't this in this was a NASCAR car, wasn't it?
Yes, it also was a
Yeah.
NASCAR car.
Yeah. But
Where
that's
are you-
not
Would
all right.
you
Who's next?
see-
Sorry, I'm just talking over everybody.
No, not really. I mean, I say it's probably I think as high as I could probably let it go as a C plus. I don't think it's B tier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See?
I'd agree with that. This is a C. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the Firebird. It's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you bastards dropped my AMC Javelin to D.
I
I mean, I agree with it, but I don't have to like it.
All right,
Whew.
Dodge Challenger.
I'm so conflicted on this car.
I really like the Challenger. I don't think it has. I don't think it has near the. It doesn't have near the legacy, in my opinion. I think it's probably an A tier, because I think the Charger wipes the floor with it. If you want my opinion, when it comes to a legacy, like if you say Dodge Charger, everybody's like,
Yes.
oh yeah. I would probably still go with A though, because I really like the Challenger. I think it's a solid car. I think most people. I think a good amount of people, I'd say most people, a good amount of people would know what a Challenger is, but I think, the Charger just wipes the floor with it legacy wise.
I'd have to put it A tier also because it's a big block only car.
Okay.
That's the only way you get any performance out of it because it was such a big, heavy car. It's right up there with the Chevelle. Wise, there was some cool versions of it, some cool paint, but the Charger had better options.
Why did this car exist?
They compete with the Chevelle.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And it was too long.
Yeah, even in the picture you can see it looks
Even
long.
the modern day Challengers are massive.
They are
Yes.
huge cars. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
the
huge
Charger
fucking
competes
cars.
more with the Mustang and the Camaro than the Challenger does. Even though that's
Yep.
the only way you can get. You can well, the Hellcats.
The Charger's shorter
but-
than the
Ooh, the
Challenger.
Hellcat.
Yeah.
I'd love a Hellcat.
I mean,
Put a
it
Pro
had enough
Charger on your
space to put a
Mustang,
big
you'll be
engine
fine.
in it, but let's face it, cars in those days, you could actually get into the engine well and stand in it in some of them.
Yeah,
Oh
even
my
on the big
God.
block cars.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
fucking sit on the fucking fender.
Well, that's back before they had crumple zones and all that kind of stuff, that they started really researching those things. So the more metal that you had in between you, the better off you were.
Yep.
Biggity.
I would go A tier with this. I don't even remember seeing one of these growing up or hearing about it. Like the first time I heard about it was 80s. So I don't even have a recollection of this car.
What about you, Green? Where do you think it should go?
I agree with A. I love Challengers. However, that's because they've brought them back in more recent times, and I hate Chargers for like the opposite end of that. I feel like
Chargers are
they
four
put
doors.
more into the Challengers
God,
recently compared to the Chargers. Like it was probably like 10 years ago. Charger was basically like a sedan, and I hated it.
Oh, yeah, it's a four-door
so
car.
much.
Yeah.
So I still say A tier. I love Challengers. I want a
Mhm.
Hellcat so fucking bad. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but if you're talking something recent, yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
I
that's
mean,
not
there's just-
necessarily what we're doing with
there's
this,
a
but
ton
yeah.
of beef underneath that hood.
Yeah.
I just
But-
realized he has two of the same cars here:
What?
the Super B and the Charger.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Super B was a version of the Charger.
Oh,
Yeah, it was.
I don't know muscle cars. I said this. Y'all have to take me aware.
You're good.
That's
You're good.
fine. It's gonna be
I'm
great
just
to
saying.
And you should have used the Challenger X photo from the 80s. That's a much better and more iconic version of.
Well, and I was
I'm
gonna
s-
say the General. Bow down to the General.
Oh, the General Lee was a Charger.
Yep.
It was a Charger? I thought that was a
Yeah.
Challenger.
That's
No,
that's
no, the
why-
Charger.
yeah.
Modern
Everybody-
Chargers are sedans. They were always a two-door car in the 60s and 70s.
Yep.
No, the reason
they-
I was gonna put the Charger in S tier is because all I was gonna say is the General Lee.
100%.
My
Oh, no,
bad.
I got more reasons. Than
I mean,
that.
I still love the Challenger.
I do too, but
One word,
Yeah.
Mopar. Yeah, that there was a lot of power in those cars. But we were talking about the Challenger. So sorry.
Okay, the Charger did just bump itself up just because of that, because I'm showing my natural hair
So the
color.
Challenger is what tier?
hey,
A tier.
Oh,
A,
Okay,
because it's a true muscle car.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I still
My
hate
next-
what they did to it in the 80s.
My next choice for you guys to criticize: Dodge Charger.
S tier.
S.
You could get that car with a full fiberglass front end, dual fours. You could get that car. So many different options, so many paint colors. It's just iconic.
Mopar baby.
More
Yep.
parts. But yeah, it's right up there with the Mustang and the Camaro and
Yep.
the Roadrunner and GTO. It is 100%.
Just
No
don't look
question.
at what happened in the 70s and the 80s.
Well, we're
to
skipping the
discard.
70s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just like, for all of
72
these,
is the
skip
cutoff.
70s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
72 is the cutoff essentially. After
Yeah.
the government got involved,
So-
they just
The year I
Children.
graduated high school is the
God,
year they
you
came
know
out
that.
with that Shelby edition Charger. 87. Oh my god. Those commercials were brutal. Because you're watching Dukes of Hazzard
yeah.
and then you
Devil.
saw those commercials. I mean, it's not the
What?
same car.
Devil, put it in S tier. What are you
S tier,
fudging
what are
around?
you
Yeah,
doing?
like none
Well,
of us are
everyone
disagreeing
still
here.
talking. I'm like,
All right, Devil,
But you can still
as,
put it
as
there.
someone who doesn't
I
know
quit.
muscle cars, you need to just go watch the Dukes of Hazzard
Just go watch the Dukes of Hazzard.
I
Just
watched
watch
the
it.
Dukes of Hazzard.
and stop staring at Daisy's ass. And everybody
Hard,
wanted
we
a Jeep.
understand.
Yes, we get it, but look at the car.
I was always on the other side. I'm the bad guys.
He was checking out Boss Hogg's ass. Same
Hey,
car.
Boss Hog's ass.
Devil, I would
Lumpy,
probably
lumpy
just
little marshmallow man.
Devil, I would probably just leave that in the void because we already have the car on the
Yeah,
fucking
leave
map.
it there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Boyd
So-
Super B, poor guy.
the next one's gonna be the Mercury Cougar. I'm gonna drive me a
Mercury
Mercury and
Cougar.
What
Mercury
Ford has
Cougar.
done to the Cougar name?
oh, it's terrible.
Ford was so bad in the night. Oh my
Dude,
god.
Dude, do
Hey,
you,
what
do
did
they
you,
he
don't
do?
acknowledge it in the. No.
do you remember? Do you remember what they did to the fucking the Cougar in 2006? That little fucking two door.
What the hell was that?
I don't know.
You talking about the Thunderbird?
The Thunderbird, and then they also had it as a Cougar.
They also had it as
So
a
my
Cougar.
dad had a Cougar that was a Fox body Mustang.
I had a,
SVT.
I had a
pretty
friend
much
in the
what it was.
military. I had a female friend in the military who had a 2006
Kenzo, you smart ass.
Cougar.
Dude, those fucked up looking Thunderbirds were pieces of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Like, there weren't even any redeeming colors out of this thing. Well, okay.
They did teal
The
and white, I
Mercury-
think.
The Mercury Cougar was used in a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was used in a lot of movies. But
This is
I don't
where you,
remember
this is
enough.
where you had the overstepping, like they just made the same car and put different front and rear bumpers and headlights on them.
Oh yeah, but they did the same. So Ford did the same thing with this and the Thunderbird in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yep.
They made them boats.
Yeah.
And my grandmother had a, it was green everywhere Ford Thunderbird. And I was, oh, she's getting a sports car, another sports car. And then I go and look and it's like, oh, what the hell is this? I could walk to school faster than I could walk from the front of that car to the back. It was so long. That's it. Just I
like the Cougar, but I think the Legacy has been shit on so bad that I really probably have to put it in a C. I think they've bastardized it really badly.
67 to 72. That's it.
Yeah,
Anything else outside of that?
but
Yeah, it's got some classic lines that almost all the designs in the late 60s had.
yeah,
So C tier for me, but ugh. It's just
How
a
do you feel,
Mustang
Wookie?
with hidden headlights.
I think it was a
Yep.
bit bigger than a Mustang at that point, even
It was
then.
longer. Yeah, it was
it
longer.
was longer. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
heavier too.
What do you feel, Wookie? C for you?
I go C tier. Just nowadays, I would go C tier. Back in the 60s and 70s, it would be in the void, but I'll go C here because it's still an iconic car. You see it, it draws your eye. But that's about it.
What do you feel, Green?
I was thinking D, so C's fine.
Okay, so
But it matches her hair.
Yeah,
The picture does, but yeah. And that's like
Okay.
it's more blue than green.
That's what happens if she spends too much time in a pool with too much chlorine.
Probably. I
Wow.
haven't done that.
Then
I've done that with
you're-
red.
Said the man who doesn't have a girlfriend. And he wonders why. Hey, babe, that dress does make you look fat.
I'm gonna go cry for a bit.
It's okay. We
Oh,
like
man.
tears.
Normally it's Culture Casino I say thanks to, and he goes off in a huff. I don't know.
no, devil, no crying over spilt milk. All right.
No crying over the breast milk. That's
Yep.
There's
Okay.
God, Dodgeball was so good.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Good movie.
Mercury
Can't be made today.
Cyclone.
Nope. Talk about another car Ford decided to take a
Yep.
shit on.
The
Yeah, it was a
Mercury
Torino
Cyclone.
with Torino that was added length.
Yep, also known as the Comet. Yep.
So,
I
my
I'm
mom
going
had a
with C.
Comet, had a throw up top and 2 bucket seats to catch it.
yeah, I'm gonna say C.
I'll
Yeah.
go D.
I mean, they use these in NASCAR. I mean, if a lot of these bodies seem to have just been made to give NASCAR something to use.
Well, that's when manufacturers made cars for NASCAR.
Yeah, that's when
Yeah.
they actually did, but they don't do that anymore.
The last car they made for NASCAR was the Lumina.
Yeah,
Yep.
And you
it
said
was a
that-
successful car.
And you said D, Wookie?
Yeah, I'd say D tier.
Yeah.
Okay, Green, where do you?
So this one, I was just like, what the hell is this car? So I'm gonna say D.
Yep.
I
Well-
like had to look it up and then I was not impressed.
I mean, I would almost put the Mercury Cougar on the D list too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I
but
almost did too.
Yeah.
most people know it as the Comet. That's what I hear it referred to most
Yeah.
of the time as the Comet.
Yeah, well, it was the Comet and they changed it to the Cyclone.
Yep. So
Which is, and didn't they call it the Comet Cyclone?
I think
Ford was so messed up. GM came in and whooped their ass in the early 60s when it came to muscle cars, and all they knew was the Mustang.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can tell.
But still, all they know. It's the only thing they
No.
make.
Yeah. It's still all that they can do. Yeah,
Okay,
from there.
so
And it's
It
funny,
sounded like-
funny, like all the Ford guys are like, oh, what about the GT500? I'm like, oh, well, just pull out the Z06. Well, no,
Yeah.
Camaro versus Mustang. I'm like, no, you're
No.
different levels, same price tag. Let's go same price tag.
Yep.
okay, so
You're
it
going to
seems
set
like
those two
everyone's
together.
D.
That Corvette's going to beat a Mustang hands down. In
Oh, yeah.
road racer straight,
The
straight up.
GT500 is pretty nasty. I will
It
give
It
you
is a
that.
nasty car. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
Right.
you
The Vet's
put
got
it up
finesse.
against a top end vet, it's going to be tough.
Well, the
Yeah.
last generation Z06, not the new generation Z06, ran 11 straight from factory 4 on street tires.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh, ran 11.0.
And people underestimate just how important tires are.
Yeah.
when it
Oh,
comes to
jeez,
stuff.
All right, Oldsmobile 442.
A tier.
I was almost I think A is pretty solid. There might be a little bit of bias there because I really love the Olds 442. But I
Mhm.
think A is probably the right call.
Yeah, I mean, it was right up there with the Chevelle, everything else. You had your Buick guys, you
Yeah.
had Oldsmobile guys, and you had your Chevy
Mhm.
guys. At this time, it was completely different motors. Now, the big block Oldsmobile Pontiac motors sucked, but the 442 was iconic. And
Yeah.
how long did the
Mhm.
Buick Regal last after the 442 was gone?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't.
Well, you got T-Type.
Mhm.
You got T-Type, and what was the other one? Oh, damn, what's the main?
Well, they
main
put
block?
that 442 in the Cutlass Calais. So
No,
I've been
it's
trying
not.
to find a 79 Cutlass Calais, and the
Yeah,
only
but
ones
it
I can
was
find are 442.
4-speed. It was
Yeah, it was a manual.
4-barrel, 4 on the floor, 2 doors.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. 4 on the floor. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
I think
Or
A
2
is a solid
bucket
pick.
seats. Yeah. But you also had the Grand National was Regal. Regal kept its name for a while.
Mhm.
The Buick Regal is, I mean, Oldsmobile. It wasn't Oldsmobile Regal. It was Oldsmobile something else.
They put the Regal as a competitor to those Longboat Thunderbirds after a while.
Yeah.
2-door thing.
Yeah, but just the 442 was an iconic name on its own.
Mhm.
It drew a lot of attention. I just think it's A tier as far as my mom and dad had one, so
I think
Yeah.
A tier is a solid bet.
So this car is an X factor for me that is out of this world. So my grandmother, 4'11", raised 5 kids on her own, working 3 jobs. Right? I was her first grandchild. She would take me to the dirt track races in a 1971, orange 442 convertible. And she drove me to baseball games. We went to hockey games. She was on the board. She was screaming, ready for fights. And she took me to the horse track. She took me to all these places my mom doesn't know about. I'd stay the night, and she'd let me watch Benny Hill. That was pretty big for a kid at 8, 9 years old.
Yeah, Benny Hill was
So-
pretty exciting.
But dirt track racing, my grandmother was the one that got me into that. And I know why my dad got into it and all that stuff from there. So this is S tier personally for me because of that, right? All of the stuff and things that I shared with my grandmother for decades in that car. And man, just sweet memories. It is an A tier muscle car for everything that Wookiee is saying. But from an X Factor standpoint of why I even looked at some of these cars and she would tell me about them all, things like that. Coming from a woman, right?
Yeah.
In
Sounds
the
like a pretty
70s.
badass woman.
Oh yeah, nobody effed my grandmother. My 6'3" uncle. She walked in the room, said, "You guys do this," and everything. It was yes, ma'am. They never effed with her at all. At all.
I thought we
And,
didn't like strong women.
Oh, but I do. My Mrs. Flew is 5'2", redheaded Irish. Okay,
Oh, Jesus.
exactly.
It's gonna be a
Do not-
firecracker.
Do not piss her off.
Toxic's had a couple knots on his head.
Oh yeah.
I'm a
Don't
submissive, so,
mess with her
yeah,
kids,
I
man. Do not mess with the kids. You won't have to worry about me hurting you. You'll have to worry about which level of hell she's going to send you to. But
Yeah,
that was-
Tox is there to pull her off.
Strange you would say that. I've done that a few times. Let's not go to jail again, honey. Come on. I can't
Kids,
bury
get the
another one in the
trank gun.
backyard. God dang it, we got to drive out to the middle of nowhere again. There's only so many bodies I can put in that reservoir. But so, yeah, it's real personal to me. I got into NASCAR at that point, got into racing at that point. And I started thinking it was cool to be outside with my dad, to work on the cars, the brakes, all that kind of stuff. Just because that Oldsmobile 71442, orange, white racing stripes, white leather interior, convertible.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice.
oh yeah, I would really love to have one of those now. Just to have it, drive around, remember my grandmother, and to anyone in any of those streams you may catch me on, and they talk about how women are so oppressed and all that stuff. I'm like, no. My wife, my mother, my sister, my grandmother, my great grandmother was on the Trail of Tears when they marched the Indians from Georgia to Oklahoma, and they killed half of them, right? So, no. I know badass women, right? And that was my grandmother. My grandfather came back. He was in Burma, had over 20 hand-to-hand kills, was one half of the Windtalker group while over there, and he got shot. The Burma and Pacific Theater was very cutthroat. They sent a lot of American Indians over there into that area because you had to get the Japanese were just going to kill you. It was savage. He came back and he just
Japanese were
couldn't
not
handle it.
represented in Oppenheimer.
Well, I think the story kind of isn't about them until the end.
Well,
Just
till
saying.
middle of the movie.
Yeah,
Then it
middle of the
goes-
movie, yeah.
then it continues on with Oppenheimer.
Gonna-
Yes.
But I mean, the Burma Theater was extremely problematic because that was the last one that got anything. Was out of there and stuff. So on the things there. But I mean, I could tell stories all day about that. But he came home and just drank like crazy. And she's like, okay, can't deal with this. And when he committed adultery, she had divorced him. And she was started a church that I went to. And my dad was part of that, all this stuff. And she was a badass woman. Couldn't cook to save her life. But she was a seamstress, worked 3 jobs almost all her life and stuff from there. So yeah, anybody says that we didn't used to have strong women can fuck off.
Well,
His
The only
fucking
person I'm
heart.
scared of is my 76-year-old mom.
Hell yeah.
these days you're only oppressed if you let yourself be oppressed.
100%.
Fucking Lutely.
Yep.
100%.
Okay,
Unless
so
it's my
we
mom.
got-
Go ahead and
we
put
got-
that A tier. Go ahead and put that
A.
A tier. But yeah,
So-
I just wanted to be able to tell my story about my grandmother, taking me to the races, dirt track racing. God, I love dirt track racing.
Yeah, dude, I feel you on that one. That's kind of like my reason behind the Mustang. I know it started out as like a grocery hauler, but it was my dad's 1983 Mustang that I started turning wrenches on and stuff, and it's just like, you know, it's always going to be one of my favorite cars
Right.
because of that. You know, I got the, you know, you remember the first time you're like taking a exhaust bolt off, you get the dirt in your mouth, and it's just like, you know, you remember the first time you get gas in your eye because you're wrenching underneath the fucking car. Yeah.
My dad, I was 6 or 7 years old. He was helping a neighbor across the street fix his car. They're under the hood. He's like, okay, I need you to step on the gas. So I step on the gas, and then he goes, okay, stop. So I stop. Then I thought I hear him say, do it again. I stepped on the gas, and he'd taken the fuel pump off right in the face. What the hell are you doing? And I was just sitting there pumping the gas. Woohoo! Man,
old
if you
carburetors.
got boys, if you got girls, take them out, work on the car.
Turn some fucking wrenches.
My
Honestly.
youngest is going to school to learn. He's been going for the last couple of years, mechanic, right, and HVAC. You know, my dad taught me how to do that. I've got the same refrigerator we've had for a long time because I can replace parts in it. I don't have to go buy a $2,000 fridge.
Yeah.
Same thing with cars.
Try $4,000 to $6,000 now.
Oh my god.
No, man. No way.
My
What's
fridge
like
was
$7,000?
$6,000. I got it on sale for $6,000.
Jesus. We
The
paid
fucking-
$7,000 for a new hot water heater.
The fucking
Yeah.
computer now. That's why.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, put this A tier from the muscle car set. I mean, my personal story on that aside, you know, I would buy this car and pay any amount of money over anything else on this list, and it includes the Roadrunner and any of those things. But that's
Yeah.
just purely personal.
What about you, Green? Are you A on
I'm gonna
it,
go
or-
with A. I had a Oldsmobile Cutlass Calais. I missed that car. That was actually my first car. But I don't know as much about the 442 or have an awesome story like Toxic.
How many people are watching? Okay, all right.
5 right now.
My
but
oldest
yeah, I
son was
agree that-
conceived in a 1979 Cutlass Calais.
Is his name Cutlass? You're supposed to name him after Cutlass.
No, I named him after a Muppet, but don't tell me.
Oh,
Kermit?
No, not that one.
I was about to say, you know, you could have named him Cal. That'd have been pretty good.
That'd have been good. That'd be good. The Calais were nice. That was a nice set of cars.
I don't know if that idea works through.
Oh, I could have done that. Superman. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
What if you were conceived in a gremlin? Then you would have to be called
There we go.
Gremlin.
Well, that's
Hi, my name's Mogwai.
That's Tom Connors. I'm convinced Tom Connors was conceived in a gremlin. So
I can believe that.
Midnight's Edge. Yeah, I can say that. Jeez, what a massive amount of God, I miss these cars.
Yeah.
I would like to side note that you guys are giving boats like a negative vibe, and I had an Impala, our family did, and I loved that car, and it was a fucking
Yeah,
boat.
Okay.
they're not
Oh,
muscle
yeah.
cars. They're not performance cars.
Yeah.
63, like I said, the only thing I could have seen on here was like 63, 65 Impala with their big blocks back in the day because that was impressive at that time. Once you got into the late 60s, Impala was over with.
So I mean, well
Yeah.
at the same time, look what they did to the Impala. They turned it into like a, you know, kind of like family style car too.
Yeah.
Well, now they're all freaking lowriders. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Very
not many of those
true.
left because they all been chopped up too. It's like an 80s Camaro or
Uh-huh.
Fox Body Mustang
Yeah.
or something like that.
Well, the G body, I've been trying to find a 79, 80, 78 Cutlass Calais body style. I can't find it because it's a different body style.
Are you in the Midwest?
I am now.
You should be able to roam around and do barn finds. You
That's
take the time to do it.
probably what I have to go to because I
Yeah.
just can't. I'm not finding any
Yeah.
that I can.
You
do
never know. You
something
may
with.
find someone like, yeah, it was my husband's car. Give me $500. You can have it.
That'd be nice.
You
Yeah, I
named
miss
your
those
kid
cars.
Gonzo.
Those were very small 8-cylinder cars. The Cutlass Calais.
Yeah.
had
Okay,
a teeny tiny
now-
8-cylinder.
Is there any that I missed that you guys want to put on here? You know, they're not gonna have a picture, but that you want to put on here and
There were a couple, like I was trying to look them up before we started, and I couldn't remember. There was a couple off the wall Chevrolet and Ford cars they made just for speed records, and they did make them for production numbers, like I was telling you. And then once they hit that number, they just crushed the cars.
Mhm.
That are pretty iconic. Shelby Cobra would have probably been on there.
The Cobra, I think, but the
But
Cobra was
it exceeds
mixed
muscle
match.
car.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
Cobra was a specific engine put onto a European
Yeah. European car.
handling pack, your European handling package, because AC was a European car,
Yeah.
and then they brought it into Cobra and put all that stuff together.
Yeah.
'Cause US didn't deal with handling until later.
Yeah. But other than that, I think you nailed a majority of them, dude. I mean, there's like a couple little submodels here and there.
Yeah. I think
The
it's-
Nova would have been a good one.
Yeah. The
That's
Chevrolet
the Nova's not on there. Yeah, the Nova.
That's one I brought up earlier. Yeah,
So
I
where
really like
would
the
we-
Nova.
Where would
69
we
Nova
put the
was
Nova?
nice.
Where would we put the Nova?
Nova would probably be A tier because you could do small block and big block in that car.
Yep. I would say it would be an A tier car.
Yeah, it was like
because
in between a Camaro and a Chevelle.
Yeah. Chevrolet Nova. My aunt actually had one, and my cousin still has it. Thing is a beautiful car. It's got like a copper bronze paint to it, and it's got like that kind of like a leather style top. It's just beautiful.
And the big block guys loved them too because they were easier to get a hold of than a Camaro, but and almost as light.
The ironically now, I think the Nova would probably be extremely hard to find. Because my cousins.
Well, they
always working
turned
on-
those into dragsters.
Yeah, that's what guys I knew.
You
They all
drop-
had drag cars.
Yeah,
with, like,
that's what they did with that.
Big blocks.
They
Yeah, I
dropped
grew-
the big blocks in that light car, and they'd put a little weight in the back end, and boom.
Yep. I grew up on a drag strip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish at the end I could put the pictures in and just add them. The only problem is it's a pain in the ass, but maybe I'll try that.
And that's
Put
what
it
I was
in.
wondering. how
No,
were
you
gonna-
did a
if
good
were
job
gonna-
with
if
this
you were gonna
list.
Do it by generation, and I think you did it the best way, like stopping once emissions went in.
Yeah.
Because most of these cars, once you get to
Kill the
mid 70s to like current times, they're dog shit.
Yeah, I hate.
I mean, like 80s Camaros, Fox body Mustangs. If you just went off it being iconic, it would probably be an A tier.
I like
Yeah.
the Buick
performance-wise,
Grand
no.
National, but that's like 80s. I mean, I'm talking about stuff that was happening around the year that graduated. Grand National was like a
fucking-
dream car.
One of the guys at work, his dad paid $30,000 for a T-Type. And he put it on the lift, and it was chopped to shit.
Oh, Jesus. There's so few of those. They made 442 versions, or Hearst 442 versions of those.
Yeah, well, the T-Type was the lower model. The Grand National was the top tier. So I think T-Type was a Buick, it was Oldsmobile, and the Grand National was a Buick. Something like that. It was one of the two.
Yeah, the Grand National was a Buick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
All
was
right.
on.
And they're like, oh, it runs 11s and da-da-da. And I'm like, this is cut, and this is cut, and this is cut. It's got plastic bumpers on it. You can't drive this on the street.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that this covers it.
Yeah, I think you
Just the
got a
Nova.
pretty good swath for actual muscle cars.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
you did
you
a good
could,
job.
you could
though.
swap out the Super B with the Nova.
Yeah,
I think that's the only thing.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that's what
fucking-
you should do. This swap out the Super B with the Nova, put it A tier, and I think everybody. I mean, we could all agree probably to lock that in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no changes, no moving up and down anything. Mercury Cougar down or anything like
No.
that.
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right,
mean,
then.
I would do this list as a which one, because this is great. Which one would each of us buy? If
68 Camaro.
unlimited money, which one would it be? And I think we ask everybody that question. I think that would be
Okay.
good.
That works. What is your guys' answer for that?
I do a 68 Camaro Z28. All numbers matching.
67 Shelby GT500 for me.
Okay.
71 Oldsmobile 442. Like I said, convertible. Orange, white stripes, white leather interior.
And let me guess, a Mustang.
Oh,
Another Mustang.
Eleanor.
Eleanor, yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
And if somebody were to
Without
drive Eleanor up to my house, I
Nick
would
Cage's
not say
Eleanor
no.
or the original Eleanor?
The original Eleanor.
if somebody
There
were
you
to
go.
drive
She
Eleanor
gets
up to
points
my
for that.
house,
What
Now,
happened
if
with Ryan?
if I had to buy a
He
nostalgic
exploded
vehicle,
into orgasms while he was inside of Eleanor.
now outside of this list, if I had to buy a nostalgic vehicle, it'd be a '69 Chevy CST.
Okay. All right.
Y'all know mine. Like I said, a 1969 Chevy Chevelle Super Sport gunmetal gray with the black racing stripe. But
you
I still
happen to
think that
wrestle?
CST will outweigh that. There's none of those trucks left. There's more of those Chevelles left in that truck.
My mom's first car was a 55 Chevy.
My mom's first car was a 1947 Chevy.
I
They
don't know
just
if it
started
was
with the big ass pedal in the floor.
Any of those custom jobs that they used to do to chop those A's and T's and stuff up. Oh man.
I had a 47 Pontiac I walked away from.
all right. So later,
My grandfather's car.
I won't lock this in because later I'm gonna change out the thing. Take off the Super
for
B
the
and
Nova.
yeah, and I'll change it to a Nova and put it in A because that's where everyone was, and then I will lock it in, and we are done then.
Outstanding.
Got our list. Okay, well, thank you for coming to the audience, and here's where we're gonna let them give you their where to find you. So let's start with Ryan. Where can the people find you, and where do you want them to go?
You can find me later with Samuel the Infamous, Horny Alf. Hopefully, Devil. Maybe you can swing on by.
I'm going.
Adam, the Renaissance Nerd, and we are going to be discussing the finale of Picard. Finally, and right after this stream, I'm gonna hop off and go eat a steak in between shows. So that's about it.
Okay, Wookie, where can people find you?
Well, I ate a ribeye in between my last show and this show. But yeah, you can usually find me on Thursdays on Static's channel, Static 2020. We do the pregame, the weekend pregame, which we cover a range of topics. Usually, most are serious. What is woke, stuff like that. And on Fridays, you can catch me with Jed Revenwolf on the Bootleg MFer, where we pretty much talk shit and try to keep him from showing boobs the whole time. Other than that, I have my show on Sundays where we cover pop culture and go from there at 3 p.m. Every now and then you'll find a video from me. We're trying to get some numbers up, but we'll see what we can come up with. That's what I got.
Okay, Toxic. What about you?
I don't do anything really. Mrs. Flu does it all. I just kind of sit around, do nothing. But I might be on. Culture does an After Dark thing Sunday nights, so I might be on that. When I was on his High Roller member stream today, a little earlier. Mondays we're doing the Monday Meltdown now on Comics Division channel, swinging back towards entertainment. We'll do Yelling at Parked Cars, the political talking stuff over on Rumble. I think today, more than ever, it's real important that we stop the tribalism and we start talking about what real is. For me personally, when they started going after kids, that's the end of the fucking line. Done from there, and that's kind of where we're trying to draw that. And on Thursdays, we've got the Throwdown, talk about stuff there. But I do encourage, I try and watch as much of the content from these creators that we have here as possible. So if you guys get me links and showtimes that you're doing stuff, I'll make sure to promote it on Comics' bigger channel and Culture's bigger channel. Try and get some people over here, and because you're serving some times that not a lot of people are in the community. So let me know what those are. And I surely appreciate everything the Legion of Memers has done. This was phenomenal. Wookie, I wish I had your knowledge of cars. You're talking about working on cars that I dream I had gone down that route. And I'm so very glad that I've been able to help my kids see that, just going to school and doing what the narrative says you have to do is wrong, because I followed that and it was a mistake. And I'm so proud of the youngest kid is just a motorhead. And
after the stream, we'll chat about that if you want to.
Okay.
I'll give you some pointers.
All right.
And so Culture show tonight, is that the one you guys do naked? Culture After Dark?
Yeah, we're trying to get him to be naked on stream.
I imagine he's just as hairy on top as he is on the bottom.
He is. He's a hairy man. He's a Wookiee. He's a Yeti. And boy, man, does that... We were in Dallas. We were doing a show live. We were all kind of plastered after the Dallas meetup. And I swear he just had beers kept showing up. He can drink the Yuengling. And he had one. And he handed it to me. And I turned around and put it on the bar and got myself a drink of whiskey, and then came back and sat down, and he had two. Like, oh, crap. So I'm sitting next to him, and he hands me those two, and I turn around and come back. He had two more, and I'm like, and I've had 4 or 5 whiskeys at this point. So, and I'm like, oh, and he hands me those two. I come back. He's got another one. So at this point, 5 minutes into this stuff happening, Nick's talking about Venom, and he went on a Venom rant for almost 20 minutes. It was phenomenal. I'm sitting here thinking that Culture's some kind of beer god or wizard, and it's just creating these beers out of thin air. Because what's behind him is this green screen. I can't see anything. So that goes on for another 10 minutes. I'm seriously thinking he's a wizard at this point. I've been drinking way too much. Then I see his wife's hand come up out of the green screen and hand 2 beers. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes way more sense than what I was thinking from there. So, yeah. Culture's, he's an amazing human being. He does a lot of stuff for a lot of people. He works very hard. He's in a lot of shows. And, yeah. And you don't want to see him naked at all. And you got to hope that he doesn't have the beer farts around you. That's all I'm saying. People have died.
Green hair. Where can people find you?
Well, thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun. I like being a fly on the wall and learning new things, especially about cars. So I appreciate you guys. I have a channel, Green Haired Anti-Liberal, on YouTube, Rumble. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, all under this right here, Green Haired Anti-Liberal. And on Thursdays and Saturdays, 8 p.m. Mountain, I'm on Vets Talkin', Soldier Spirits, other channel, where we do knife hands on Thursdays, where it's just military vets, military in general, and Skinemax Saturdays, 8 p.m. Mountain. And then whenever Dermy decides to invite me and send me the links on Fridays, I'm on his Ball Busters at 9 p.m. Mountain. So you can find me there those 3 days.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. You guys have been great. I put out the list of other shows usually a month in advance. If there's any of them that look interesting to you and you want to come back on and do another one, I'd appreciate it. It'd be awesome. But otherwise, I think we are done. And thank you to everyone who showed up and is watching. Can't do it without you guys. So thank you. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.